world is going on here? An episode of OTP Tuesday already came out this week on Tuesday. Now it's Thursday, and I'm seeing an episode of On the Pipe podcast popping up on my feed. Must be something wrong. No ladies, no gentlemen, there is nothing wrong. This is a exclusive interview coming at you with Steward Baylor Jr. Was able to give me a call tonight, and we got on the line and picked his brain from all things switching brands and switching teams this year to that Sherco machine, what he's been doing in the offseason, and looking forward into the 2020 season. Racing GNCC, obviously Big Buck happening this weekend, but he is also looking to defend his back-to-back National Enduro titles, going for 4 in a row, 5th overall. We talk about all sorts of different stuff, so big thanks to Stu for taking the time out to speak with us, and big thanks to each and every one of you all who has clicked and downloaded this episode to listen to. I promise you won't regret it. Without further ado, I'm going to say thank you to our good buddies over at Armored Graphics, and also let you guys know that I will be at Big Buck this weekend with t-shirts, so if you want an OTP shirt, you can track me down and get yourself dialed in with one. That being said, we're going to go ahead and go to the phone line now. This man needs no introduction. We're going to give you one anyway. XC2 Champion, full gas overall champion, 4-time National Enduro Champion, and 2-time World Champion, Stu Baylor. Stu, thanks for joining us. How's everything going today?
Everything's good. Just obviously getting ready for everything that's to come this weekend.
Yeah, so, I mean, speaking of this weekend, I know you personally have a lot of history with Big Buck, but you'll be coming into this year on a brand new bike with a brand new team, mostly a brand new team. How's everything going with that transition and making the jump over to Sherco?
Everything was relatable, I guess is the best way to say it. With Sherco being a WP chassis, WP swing arm, radiators, Brembo brakes, clutch, it was a lot of the major things the major components were similar to the KTM, which, I've been on a KTM since I was 3 years old. So, for the last 22 years, I've been on all these same components, and I think it was an easy transition. It was more than what I bargained for, I'm not going to lie. I've had so much with KTM, so much history with KTM that it was there. It was easy. I knew exactly where to go with Sherco. It's a lot of new things. It's a major learning curve for myself, my brother, the team, my mechanic. Everything's a little bit more of a workload than I think anybody anticipated. But regardless, we're getting there. We're finding traction where there wasn't a couple weeks ago, and hopefully throughout the year we'll continue in the right path.
Yeah, and that's interesting to hear. I actually didn't know how similar the Sherco and the KTMs were until you just mentioned that. So that's cool that kind of ergonomically it sounds like it was a smooth transition for you. But you did just mention just got everything really rolling within the past couple weeks. Obviously, you're a 4-time National Enduro Champion, 3 times back-to-back-to-back. Heading into Sumter, I know going into that last test, you guys were all tied up, and Ben ended up getting the win at that point. So before the Sumter Enduro, did you have everything figured out, or have you kind of got it more dialed in since then?
No. Leading to the Sumter Enduro, we got our race bikes Wednesday prior to the event, and prior to that, we had ridden nothing but stock bikes. We got JDP down to suspension the week of the event, and everything was way behind the 8 ball. I didn't know what to expect from my bike. I didn't know where I could trust it, where I couldn't trust it, and at our level, there's so many small things that you don't even realize as a rider or as a mechanic or even myself, like as a top rider, you don't realize it until it's too late. And it's the little things, where your front end's going to push, where it's not, where your bike's going to make power, where it's not, how it's going to make power, how the power delivery is. So for me, I basically came into Sumter on what I would consider a stock bike. I mean, we had valving done, but it was on the week of the race. The bike showed up the week of the race. The first time I rode the bike was the day before the race. I spent personally 6 hours, and I believe Grant said 4 the day before the race figuring out mapping. So, obviously with that being said, the Sherco hands down is a phenomenal machine, but we were far behind the 8 ball, and to do what we did going 2 and 3 is I think phenomenal. There's no other way to say it. I mean, that the performance for the company, for ourselves, was great. But obviously, like you said, being back to back champion, I would have liked to see more. I've been kind of it's not official because nobody actually officially posts anything about my career, but unofficially, we'll call it. Unofficially, I've been named the King of Sumter, and it was one of those races where I knew I should have won going in, and things just weren't lined up my way. But to come out with second place, I don't think it could have gone any better. I just hope the GNCC can go as well, if not better. I don't know where we are 100% prepared. Obviously, everything is new. Everything is, the new hasn't worn off. Every day we're finding something different that we could do better, that we could do different. Myself, the team, my mechanic, everybody involved. And with everything being so new, I don't want to go out and say we're shooting for the stars, but we really are. But at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, we're not treating it as a major issue right now. Everything's a learning curve.
Wow, that's insane. Granted, no one has any real way of knowing that until you just brought all that up. But, I think you hit the nail on the head to do what you and Grant did, getting second and third, basically just really breaking the bikes in the day before. That's absolutely insane. But going off of that, so now how do you feel your confidence is for defending that back-to-back-to-back title? Basically knowing that you got second place on a bike you were not familiar with, what does that do for your confidence for the rest of the season? And what does that do for your confidence heading into GNCC that you've had more seat time on the bike to get it dialed in?
The National Enduros, starting there, that's more my focus. I've always really enjoyed and always really done well at the National Enduros. I feel that I should be able to be in contention for the lead all year long. I'm not the fastest rider. I think everybody would say that Grant is definitely the fastest, most talented rider. But his work ethic isn't there, and I don't know that this will be his year. But I think he's kind of finding his feet. This past year we saw him putting forth the effort a little more than he has in the past. Obviously he's my little brother, but at the end of the day, he's the competition, and I have to treat him as a serious threat, just as I would Ben Kelly. Ben is a great rider. Nothing. Not going to degrade Ben in any way possible. And I don't know what he's capable of. I don't think anybody knows. And I think that Ben is either going to prove a lot of people wrong or a lot of people right this year. And I think that's up to Ben as far as what he does with that. But Ben is a really good guy. I really do like Ben. And like I said, a great rider, but I don't know what he's capable of yet. I know what Grant's capable of, and if Grant can keep everything on 2 wheels all year long, and he can find his work ethic and what makes him want to win, whether it be the bonuses or whether it be beating his big brother. I think Grant's going to be really tough to beat, but I think, wrapping it up for the National Enduro, I think I've got a really good contention at getting that 5th national championship, and that's my goal. I wanted to win 5. If I win more than that, that's great. But right now, my ultimate goal is 5 national enduros, an XC2 championship, and a world championship, top 3 in ISDE, and hopefully GNCC national championship in the XC1 class. And of my list, I've completed half of them. I would love to get a top 3 personal overall at ISDE. I got 4th overall once, and obviously the GNCC is huge. So, looking forward to this year and the first round. If everything goes well, I think we should be in podium contention all day long. Obviously, there's a lot of fast guys coming in. With the first round, there's no telling how it could go, but I think that of the guys there, I am definitely the best suited right now in the clay conditions. I mean, I live 40 minutes from the track, and that's all I've ridden all year long. So, for that round, I think that we've got everything in place to win. It's just a matter of lasting 3 hours and playing the deck the way it should be. GNCC is a lot of strategy and not just speed, talent, and fitness. So hopefully we can get out front early and do what I like to do. Obviously, I know riders' strengths and weaknesses, and I think other people know mine as well. And my strength is when I'm out front and I'm alone, you're not going to beat me. If you're putting pressure on me, it's tough. So if we can get out front, we can get a gap. I think that's going to be everything we need, and hopefully we can do so.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And as you mentioned, too, you brought up Ben Kelly, which obviously he's going to be a contender in the series. I mean, he came out and he won the last 2 rounds last year, and everyone is always real quick to talk about that. But it seems like what people, I don't want to say forgot about, but what people don't include in that conversation is Ben's first win at the Mountaineer. You were actually leading the whole dang thing until right up to the end when, I mean, all that, the dust and Mason Dixon or the Mountaineer? Mason Dixon.
Oh, I don't even remember the name. It was the Boy Scout camp is all I remember.
Okay, so it was the Mountaineer. And,
yeah, I don't even remember the name.
yeah. But, I mean, you guys were both out front, but, I mean, you were leading the majority of that race. And so I think with Thad coming back, Caleb coming back, Ben in the class, I mean, your brother, it's a stacked class this year, and I think it can go anyway. But you actually got your first XC1 overall win at Big Buck. Does any of that play into your mind going into the first round, or is it just another race, like not even thinking about what's happened in the past?
This is actually a conversation I had this week, and Big Buck is actually one of my least favorite tracks. I can't stand the place. I've never liked the place. It was the first GNCC I ever finished in 2003 or 4. I can't remember. I finished without a seat. I told my dad I really didn't want to race GNCCs anymore because it was terribly rough.
Dang.
Granted, we got our first national championship that year, but at the same time, I hated GNCCs. They were rough and they were miserable, and the ruts were too long and too deep. But when most of us line up, speaking for the pros, everything goes out the window. Everything's the wayside. The win is just a byproduct of what we've done throughout the week. We put more pressure on ourselves to do good, no matter what weekend it is, what track it is, what the conditions are. So, no, lining up to Big Buck, I don't think that I've had a win there in the past is going to play a role in how I perform this year. obviously with my big change, I think at this point, until this point, I was probably the only pro rider to say that they have never changed a brand since the time they could walk. And, KTM did not stand by me. So I want to beat those KTM guys. So for me personally, I really want to beat those guys. And it doesn't matter that it's big buck. It doesn't matter what race it is. But I think that big buck probably does favor my style and what I've trained in, what I practice in. So, that being said, we're going to roll in with a head full of steam and hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, just going off of that, like you said, you've been on KTM since you could walk. You got your first national championship on them. I mean, those are all you know. And so how hard of a decision was it to make the jump to Sherco, and what really went into that factor to switching brands?
I have to say, I mean, it was one of the most difficult decisions I've ever made. And, there's days where I regret making it, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it's like, there's one thing that your whole life, and when you do something different, and whether you like it or not, or whatever it is, it's just different, and it's tough to wrap your mind around when you've been doing the same thing for 22 years. So, it was very, very difficult as a rider to make that leap and hope for the best, hope the team had your best interests in mind. And we're right now, I think Grant and I both are at that same point where it's like, wow, we just changed absolutely everything that we know, and hopefully it is for the best. And the team is really standing by us. And I think right now, I'm glad that we made the switch. But at the time that everything was going on, it was difficult. The major things for me was, KTM has always been a phenomenal team, and this is where, I will say I'm one of the most blunt riders out there. I'm one of the most blunt people out there. I don't care what anybody thinks or what everybody cares. I could care less. Exactly what's on my mind, and what's on my mind is, KTM is unliked by the public eye, by very few, but where they are unliked is because they do their job so well. The other teams, they get some backlash because they do things differently. And, I have been with KTM for so long, and everything was so clean cut, so cookie cutter. And obviously that's not me. So I wanted to see some change, and whether it's good or bad, it's good for me at the time in my career that I decided to do so. I think I wanted to see change. I wanted to see something different, and that's what we're getting right now. So, I think that everything's going to be really good. It's just a matter of time, and right now I think that everything is going to be, the program is going to be molded towards me. And with KTM, I never saw the program being molded towards me. Even when I was on the factory team, it was always molded towards the next guy. And that's where, I needed to see something personal. I needed to see my own benefit. And on the business side, that was where we made our decision. And, I think it's the best thing for us at the time. And, I think it's going to be really good for the whole sport. And obviously any motorcycle brand, any manufacturer jumping in is great. And, Sherco's doing a great job. This is their first year. I really don't want to see anybody put too high expectation. I want to surprise people. So, and I think that's what we did at Sumter. I think a lot of people kind of had us at the bottom. And, really that's where I don't want to speak for Sherco, but I think that's where we need to come in. We need to come in saying, hey, we don't know what we're doing. We don't have everything figured out. We got two really good riders, and we're going to learn together. And at this point, I did not expect a podium at Sumter. So coming out with a second and place, I can't believe how well the bike's done so far. At this point, I think that everything is just a major learning curve. So, hopefully we can keep the traction, like I said earlier, going forward. And I think everything's going to come together. But like I said, I want to come in everything, a head full of steam, but I don't want the expectations too high. I want to learn. I want to learn this bike and learn this company, and I think the company's in the same situation. KTM didn't win their first year, and obviously the target is on their backs. That's where every company aspires to be, and with a new company, that's where we want to be. But at the same time, we've got to know that that's not where we're going to start. That's not where anybody starts. So, second, third's fine right now, but I want to win by the end of the season.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's awesome to hear. It sounds like that your mentality going into the season is right where it needs to be, and it's awesome to see that you're fully committed to Sherco. And I mean, really, the first time we've seen fast riders on Sherco machines in those premier classes. So I'm excited to see how it all turns out for you guys. And kind of going off what you said about the KTM, from the fans' perspective, they almost seem like the Patriots or like the Yankees of dirt bikes. Like they have this success, but for some reason they just don't. It rubs people the wrong way. But I know you're busy, and I know you got a lot going on. Just last question. I know it's a learning year. I know you guys are trying to figure everything out on the fly and going into the season. And as you mentioned, you want to get in front of those KTM guys. But with this being Caleb's last year, it's hard not to bring him up. He's obviously been the most dominant rider in GNCC. From a fan's perspective, is there a little bit more drive to win this championship specifically, seeing as it's the last time that anybody will be able to have the chance to dethrone Caleb? Does that weigh into anything at all, or is it just another season?
To be honest, it pisses me off he's quitting so early.
30 years old.
Yeah, you can say 30 years old, but I mean, he's still on top. So we can sit here and say 30 years old all day long, but Rodney Smith won it, I believe, 43. So
no, I was saying that to your point. I mean, 30 is young for a professional athlete. That's young.
Yeah, definitely. And I respect Caleb. I think Caleb and I see eye to eye. I really like Caleb. I've wanted to beat him since I was on 65. So, to your question, no, this does not put any more pressure on me now than it did my first year in XC1. Obviously the last few years I felt like I've had the speed, I felt like I've had the stamina, and my problem has been racecraft. Caleb knows how to race and when to race on every single track, and that's where he has got every rider beat. I don't want to say I disagree with what Caleb's doing as far as his retirement. I hate that it's so early because I want to beat him. Even if he's old, I want to beat him. Even if he's 43 and it takes me that long, I want to beat him. But, I have to say, I mean, looking at what he's got going on right now, Caleb is the man. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that can deny facts. And it's not like I can say that it's not a fact. I mean, it is 100% a fact. Caleb is the man right now. I think that he's probably the most respected as well as the most disrespected. He's almost the Donald Trump, would you say, of GNCC right now. And people love to hate him. The losers love to look at him. And right now, that's Caleb. I respect the hell out of Caleb. I want to beat him, as everybody else does, with more than anything. I think that as a racer, you have so much drive and so much will to do more than what you even think you're capable of. And Caleb is the guy that has been able to put his best foot forward and capitalize on everybody, it seems, every weekend for so long. So, yes, to your point, I want to beat Caleb more this year than ever, but I've always wanted to beat Caleb more this year than ever. Every year lining up, I've always wanted to beat Caleb, and I think, you look back through the top 4 or 5 of us that's really capable of XC1. And even the guy behind that, we work every day. We work 8 to 12 hours a day, and our days don't end. Our stress doesn't end. A lot of people think you throw a leg over a dirt bike and you go racing. That's not it at all. I mean, it's 4 hours a day in the gym, 2 hours a day on the bicycle, 4 hours a day on a dirt bike, and then you're working on that for that. And that's and then when you go to sleep, you're dreaming of Caleb Russell. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but that's the way. Not in a gay way, obviously. But, it's the way that we're all wired. We all want to win. We all grew up racing and winning in our local series, our national series, and now we're all at the top level competing for the same thing. And it's a lot on it's a lot on our plates. We all want to win. So I want to win just as much as I did on 65s, and I think that no matter what, that I won't be able to lose that. I won't be able to lose that mentality. But hopefully we can beat him a few times this year, and God, it would be great to get that championship.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't write a better storyline than that if you end up wrapping up the championship this year. But man, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing the races throughout the year. Looking forward to seeing how much you guys progress on those new bikes. And interesting to note that no one has won multiple National Enduro Championships in a row in a decade. I think Russ was the last one to do it in 08 and 09. So now you've won 3 in a row going into your year to hopefully claim 4. And then also, as you mentioned, GNCC title on the line as well. But just to clear the air real quick, Stu, is it STU or STEW? I've always wondered that.
It depends on who you're talking to. My dad says STU, my mom says STEW. So it depends.
So either way, you can't be wrong.
Either way, you can't be wrong. You can say it. You can say, listen, I'm going to be honest. I've been called. We're not even actually going to say what I've been called, but I think you have a good imagination. Is what I've been called. I'll answer to just about anything.
All right, sounds good. Well, now we know. But Stu, man, thank you so much for taking the time out and talking with us, and wishing you all the luck this year.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man. I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.